Today on the patio, we are making some smoked pulled beef sandwiches. It all starts with this beautifully smoked chuck roast. Let's get into it. What's up, barbecue fans? My name is Jake, and today I have about 6.5 pounds of beautifully marbled chuck roast. It's been marinating for about 14 hours now. So last night what I did is I picked up some chuck roast from Costco. It was very well marbled. I couldn't resist it. I brought it home, and then what I did is I made up a marinade. So for this marinade, I'm using Cousin Buddy's marinade. It is primarily Worcestershire sauce, but it's got some seasonings in it and some citrus to it. It is absolutely delicious. I use it all the time when I make a French dip. I decided to doctor up a little bit, and we added some red wine to it, mixed all that up, and then we put it in a Ziploc bag and put our chuck roast in there. Now, before I put the chuck roast in there, I did trim it up a little bit. There was some very hard fat on each piece, and let's be honest, that is not gonna render out. It really doesn't serve any purpose. So I took a knife and we just cut that out. I went through both pieces, and then on one piece I had some silver skin, so I took my time and I just took a little bit of that off. And then I stuck it in the bag and it went in the fridge overnight. Now, early this morning when I got up, I put it upside down just to make sure that we got all sides coated, but I kind of propped it up on my fridge. I split the chuck roast apart so they could get the marinade between them, and then I just made sure that we got all sides covered, and then we got our Joe fired up. So as you can see, today we're using a mix of Bear Mountain cherry wood and hickory wood. I put them right at the bottom. We went with 2 pieces of cherry and 1 piece of hickory, then threw our big block on top of that, got that going. I waited until we got nice and warm. The dome got up to about 300, and then it was time to put our Joe together. So what we did there is I took 1 more piece of hickory, I kind of nestled it in around the lump that was going. That's gonna start smoking right away. Then I put in our star accessory, our deflector plates. I put in a square foil container of water, but I kind of started up a little bit. I don't want the meat sitting over top of the water, but I do want that moisture in there. So I put it right near the front, put my top grates on, and close it back up. And right now we're sitting about 200. It'll come back up to 225. We've got the bottom vent open about 1 inch, and we're just, we're 3/4 of the way to the first line here to give you an idea. We'll dial it in. What we're gonna do here is I am gonna use my new Chef Temp thermometer here. I'm gonna put it in one of the chuck roasts so I have an idea just how long it's gonna take. Now, the interesting thing about chuck roast is it takes a long time to cook for the size of meat, right? This is probably gonna take 6 or 7 hours at 225, maybe as much as 8. But you never know. You really got to cook it until it's tender, and you've got to just do it by probe. There isn't really a temperature. It's going to be somewhere between 205 and 210 when it's done. But if you pull it early, it's not going to shred properly. So I'm going to use my Chef's Temp Pro Plus just to get an idea of how much time is left so I can budget my day. So we'll take out one of these guys. Well, I'll take them both out, actually. The great thing about using a marinade like this is they've got tons of moisture in them now and a bunch of flavor. Bench later. What I'm gonna do with the remaining marinade is I'm gonna throw it in a pot right now, and I'm gonna boil it for 5-10 minutes. Actually, probably longer than that now that I'm thinking about it. Probably about 30 minutes. I'm gonna try and reduce it by at least 1/3, maybe a little bit more. But if you're gonna reuse a marinade, you need to boil it for at least 5 minutes. But I'm gonna make it into a thicker sauce. I might add some W sauce to it just to thicken it up a little bit as well. But really we'll use heat and temperature there. Turn this guy on. And I'm gonna pick whatever is the biggest one here, which looks to me to be about this guy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in one end all the way in, just to get an idea here. All right, and we'll put these guys on here. And again, I'm gonna stay away from that water pan. I don't wanna steam from underneath. And I am gonna try and keep these together, right? Man, that marinade smells good. So as you can see, we have a fair amount of smoke rolling right now. That's from that piece that I put on top. Hasn't quite cleaned up yet. That will clean up in 10 or 15 minutes. It is not gonna hurt our food. We're gonna put it in. I'm gonna take advantage of some of that extra smoke flavor. The one thing that running an offset taught me is that a little bit of dirty smoke in the beginning is not gonna hurt you. So I'm gonna take advantage of that. What we're gonna do now is we'll just open up our app here and program in. Sign in real quick. There it goes. And you can see right now that our internal temperature is 39 degrees. We're going to do beef. I don't think it really matters what you pick here. We're gonna call it a round. How's that? Right, and I'm gonna dial this up to about 205 because there's pretty much no way that it'll be done before 205. All right, so you can see that our won't show up out here. It's a little bright here, but every time that I select something here, we're getting registered here that it's working. We're gonna put that here, and it just says came up to 40 degrees. Now what we'll do is we're gonna let this roll for probably a couple hours. I think probably closer to 3 because it's already soaked with the marinade, so we're not gonna need to spray or anything for a little while. So it's been about 6 hours. We've still got a ways to go, but I wanna show you a couple things. Still smoking. So what happened, I would say for the first probably 3 hours, we had some smoke coming from that piece I put on top. And then it stopped smoking. And then as that lump burned down, we started to get the wood down below, and we're getting a fair amount of smoke there. So I have not touched it. It's just been rolling along. We're sitting at 198 according to the Chef's Temp Pro Plus. The one thing that I did do is I went for the first 2 hours at 225, and then I bumped it up to 250. So this is a long, slow cook. Remember, if I'm at 250 in my dome, I'm gonna be a little lower at great level, but I have not touched it. Haven't opened it, haven't sprayed it, haven't done anything. There was lots of moisture on there, so I think we're gonna be fine. Let me bring it in close. We'll have a look and see how it's doing. Let's have a look here. Still super, super moist on top. There's actually a little bit of pooling here. What do we got for temperatures? 201 there, but still a little tough, okay? That's what we're looking for. 175 in this big old piece back here. And we're 193 in the skinny piece up here. 198 there, and 185 there. So we're still feeling a little tough here. We got a ways to go. This is starting to feel what I'm looking for, but this is not there yet. So what I'm probably gonna do is I'm gonna let this go for a little bit. Definitely doesn't need any more moisture. I mean, look at that. That's still marinade left on top, so it's looking good. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna let this go for a little bit longer, and then depending on how it feels, I might actually wrap them in foil and try and braise them a little bit just to push them over the edge. All right, so we are about 7.5 hours in. These guys are done. As you can tell, they've shrunk quite a bit. I'll show you what the temperature looks like. So 206, 202, 206, but we're really, really tender all throughout. Just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and waited. I could have braised them earlier. I decided not to. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap this up super tight. And we're just gonna let this rest. This guy's a little bit bigger. Pull out our probe. Super tender. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna let these rest for a good 20 or 30 minutes, and then we'll pull it, have a taste test, and we'll wrap up. It's been 25 minutes. Speaking of 25, my 25K giveaway is around the corner. Go to my website, rumandcook.com, click the 25K giveaway, and sign up to win. We're just past 24,000 subscribers, so we'll be doing that in no time. So make sure you get signed up for that. Let's have a look. This is still quite hot. Contrary to how dark it is outside, it's actually only like 10 after 7. Come on, spring. But I'm starving. This is my dinner, and I want to see how we did. Now, I will be honest with you, when I pulled these guys off, when I got out my lights to see what I was looking at, I was like, holy smokes, they're small. I rendered out the crap out of them. They're gonna be good, but I think I should have just braised them to tender them up instead of keep cooking them. I'm working on 3 videos at the same time today, so I just kind of left them by themselves. I think they're gonna be fine though. All we gotta do is break some of this up. Oh yeah, just coming apart super easily. You can see it's still nice and tender in there. All right, try a little piece. Ooh, that's hot. You can taste some of that red wine, the marinade in there, but we're gonna make a sandwich here and I'll show you what I did with the marinade there. I thought because I pushed it so far, it might not quite be as tender as I wanted it to be, or maybe it might dry it out, but I'll tell you what, it is still nice and moist. Truthfully, based on the temperature, it should rest a little bit longer, but I've been outside filming for the last, I don't know, 12 hours, so I'm hungry. So as you can see, we still ended up with a fair amount of meat here, and there was very little waste. There's a couple very, very stringy parts in there, and some fat that I'm just not gonna take. But the cool thing is there are some little crunchy spots in here from the bark, so it's gonna have a little texture to it. Get a big old piece of bread here. I just want to wrap this up so it stays warm. Here's our marinade here. Not too much left, right? I think when I was talking about reducing it, I think I said I'd reduce it by a quarter. What I meant is I would reduce it by 3/4 to have about a quarter of it left. As you can see, it's really coating the spoon. Now I added some W sauce, which has got a little bit of texture to it. You could strain it if you want to. I tried it with it strained, and it was missing just a tiny bit of the flavor that I knew the W sauce would add. So I put it back together as one, and I just warmed this up. Back in there. Here we go. All right, let's try. That sauce is delicious. That marinade is absolutely delicious. Rendered down with the red wine. It's just a bold flavor that goes amazing with beef. The beef, it's great. Definitely got a little bit of texture to it because we left it open for a little while. And listen, if you didn't want to spend 7.5 hours cooking chuck roast, what you could do, once you got the bark that you liked, probably around 180, wrap it in foil tightly with a little bit of, maybe you separate out some marinade or some beef broth, and you can finish and braise it, and you'll get an entire tender piece that won't break down as much. It won't have some of the crunchy bark to it, but it'll still be delicious. Try out this marinade, Cousin Buddy's marinade. Absolutely delicious. I get it from happybq.com. It is phenomenal for a French dip sandwich. Other than that, I mean, I'm gonna go inside and I'm gonna tear this up. This is my dinner, like I said. I got a little bit more. Thanks as always for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, do so below. I'll see you soon.